Hey guys, hello and welcome to SNS. Today I will discuss about a very interesting and very important topic also. There is a nitrogen cycle. So what is the nitrogen cycle? Before knowing all about the nitrogen cycle, we have to know that what is the nitrogen, because this is all about the nitrogen cycle. Okay, so what is nitrogen? Nitrogen is a molecule which is present in our atmosphere in N2 form, the dinitrogen form. This is the common form of nitrogen. We can't get the nitrogen in this form in our atmosphere. This is not the form of nitrogen in our atmosphere. Nitrogen always present in N2 form in our atmosphere. Okay, it is called the dinitrogen form. And it is very interesting that the plant cannot take the nitrogen directly from the air. Okay, they can use only the nitrates. Nitrates means this form of nitrogen. This is a nitrate form of nitrogen, and the plants can use this nitrate form only, not the nitrogen. Okay, but there are some bacteria and some algae, bacteria like the azotobacter or the clostridium, and the algae like the nostoc and amina. So this type of organisms can fix the nitrogen directly from the air, and they transform the nitrogen into ammonia in their body. This is a fate of nitrogen in the body of the bacteria or the algae. This is the nitrogen, and this is transformed into ammonia in their body. Okay, so the nitrogen is transformed into ammonia in the body of some bacteria like azotobacter, clostridium, or some algae just like nostoc and amina, this type of organisms. And this nitrogen is fixed in the soil by them. Okay, the bacteria and the algae helps the soil to fix the nitrogen. After their after the algae or the bacteria are deceased, the nitrogen is fixed in the soil. Okay, this is a core process of nitrogen cycle. This is the first process of nitrogen cycle, that how nitrogen came into the soil. Okay, the nitrogen molecule, not the molecule, the nitrogen N2. This nitrogen came to the soil by some bacteria or algae who can fix the nitrogen directly from the air, and thereafter the nitrogen is fixed in the soil. Okay. Now, what is the percentage of nitrogen? Nitrogen is the most abundant molecule in our atmosphere. Nitrogen is 78%, near about 78%. There, the percentage of nitrogen is 78% in our nature, where oxygen's just after the nitrogen there is oxygen with 20.16%, nearly about 20.16%. So nitrogen is the molecule that present abundantly in our nature. Okay, now how the cycle is completed, or how the cycle begins. So the initial step of our nitrogen cycle is the fixation of nitrogen. So we are going to learn about how the nitrogen is fixed in this nature. This is the first step of nitrogen cycle. There are three major steps. There are three major mechanisms of nitrogen fixation, which is the natural mechanism, by organism. Some organism can fix the nitrogen, I just told before, and the industrial way, how the nitrogen is fixed in the nature. Okay, so what is the natural process? How the nitrogen fixed by the natural process? Let's discuss about the natural process. This is the natural process when the nitrogen of the air, the nitrogen that present in the air, okay, present in the air, the nitrogen present in the air and the oxygen that is present in the air is fixed by is chemically reacted by the help of the spark, the electric sparks of our nature. Okay, then this form is converted into 2NO. Nitrous oxide, this 2NO then reacts with oxygen and forms 2NO2, nitrogen dioxide. Nitrous oxide reacts with oxygen and form 2NO2 on nitrogen dioxide. And this nitrogen dioxide, thereafter this nitrogen dioxide NO2, this nitrogen dioxide reacts with water and forms HNO2 and HNO3. So from where this water is from where we get the water? This water is present in the clouds. It is in the atmosphere. Okay, the vapors, the water vapors. The water vapors reacts with this nitrogen dioxide and forms the HNO2 and the HNO3. This HNO2 and HNO3 just came to the earth by the help of rain and fixed in the soil in the form of nitrate and nitrite ions, like this nitrate ion and nitrate ions. Okay, in this form. So now the second process is the nitrogen fixation by organisms. Some organism, just like rhizobium, a bacteria that is present in the bean plants. Okay, just like the chickpeas or the beans. The bean plant, the roots of the bean plants are the home of this bacteria. This rhizobium bacteria present in the roots of this plant and can fix the nitrogen directly from the air. Directly from the air, they can fix the nitrogen in themselves. Just because the roots of the plants have the leg hemoglobin. This bacteria can produce a pigment which is called the leg hemoglobin is present in this root just because of this bacteria, rhizobium bacteria. Note it that rhizobium bacteria produces a pigment which is called leg hemoglobin, which is present in the roots of these beans like plants. Okay, so the rhizobium can fix the nitrogen in this way, and there are many organisms just like I just told before about the bacteria like Azotobacter, Clostridium. Okay, then Anabina nostoc, the Anabina nostoc algae. Okay, this type of organism can fix the nitrogen directly from the air and transform the nitrogen into the form of ammonia, and then they fix the nitrogen in the soil. In this way, they fix the nitrogen in the soil. Okay. The third process is the industrial process by which we can produce the nitrogen, but we can use the nitrogen. Okay, in this process, the nitrogen is fixed into the ammonia, just like in this process, into nitrogen and 3H2. This process is also called the Haber process. The Haber process, which is incorporated by these reactions. N2 plus 3H2 equals to NH3, 2NH3. Okay, this is the reaction, and here 300 degrees centigrade temperature is needed for this reaction, this particular reaction, which is also called the Haber reaction. And there are 31 to 100 megapascal pressure is also required for this process. This is called the Haber process, by which we can produce the ammonia from nitrogen and hydrogen, and this way we can fix the nitrogen in the form of ammonia. How we can get the nitrogen, and now I am going to discuss about that how we can get the nitrogen. The plant, the rhizobium or the Anabina nostoc, the organisms that can fix the nitrogen in the soil, the fixed nitrogen is utilized by a plant. Okay, in the form of nitrate. I just discussed earlier that plant can take only nitrate form of nitrogen. Okay, so plant take this nitrate form of nitrogen, and through the plant we can get the nitrogen. When we eat on the plants, then we can get the nitrogen in this form, nitrate form. In this way, we can get all animals can get the nitrogen in their body. And now this is the time to bag the nitrogen to the air. It is a final process to bag the nitrogen to the air. How the nitrogen bag to the air? This is a very interesting process. So just like the fixation of nitrogen, the back of nitrogen to the air is also done by three ways or three mechanisms, which is ammonification, nitrification and denitrification. So what is ammonification? Ammonification is the formation of ammonia from a complex organism or complex molecule. From a complex molecule, ammonia is formed. This is the ammonification process. We all know that our body, the body of an animal is made up of proteins. The proteins are made up of amino acids. That is, the amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Okay, so if I draw a structure of amino acids, so that is like this. This is an amino acid which has H, R. R is an alkyl group, is any alkyl group R, and this is COOH, and this is NH2. It is a simple amino acid, or this is not the active form. This is the active form of amino acid NH3 plus. So NH3 plus COO minus. This is the active form of an amino acid. So you can see that this is the ammonia. This is the ammonia part of the amino acids. This is the amine or ammonia part of the amino acid which will give the ammonia. So just think that a complex organism who have proteins, the proteins are degraded into a small part which is called amino acids. Okay, this amino acids contains ammonia. That is, that we the complex organisms have proteins in our body. The proteins, if we break the proteins in several times, then we can get polypeptides, and if we break the polypeptides, then we can get the amino acids. So these amino acids, by the help of these amino acids, the nature can back its nitrogen, or the air can back its nitrogens in this process. This is called the ammonification. Okay, the ammonification process is done by some bacteria called Bacillus mycoides, Bacillus ramosus. These bacteria can initiate the ammonification process by which they can degrade the protein molecules into amino acids, and the amino acids into a simple form of ammonia, and then we can say that the protein transformed into ammonia. The complex protein is transformed into simple ammonia by the help of these bacteria. Which bacteria? The Bacillus mycoides and the Bacillus ramosus. Okay, these bacteria can break the protein in the simple form, that is ammonia. This ammonia then present in the soil. Okay, this ammonia then mixed in the soil. NH3 in soil. So in this way, the ammonia present in the soil. This is the nitrification process. The nitrification process is the addition of oxygen to the nitrogen molecule. Okay. So firstly, what will happen that NH4 plus reacts with oxygen and forms the nitrite ions. Then the nitrite ions also reacts with oxygen of air and form the nitrate ions. This is the way of nitrification. In this way, the nitrification works. Okay, the nitrification it is a rough equation. It is not exactly perfect equation. It is not the perfect equation. It is a rough equation. The NH4 plus the ammonium ions reacts with oxygen of our air of our nature and form the nitrite ions. The nitrite ions then oxidize and form the nitrate ions. So this is the process of nitrification. And what about the denitrification? Now it is about the denitrification. So now the denitrification joins the party, and this denitrification is the dissociation of oxygen from a complex, just like this. NO3 minus or NO2 minus from this to this, nitrogen and oxygen. Okay, this is I am saying that this is not the perfect equation. This is just hypothetical equation. The perfect equation should be like this. The perfect equation should be like this. First of all, the nitrate ions transformed into the nitrate ions by dissociation of oxygen, and then the nitrate ions transformed into nitrous oxides, 2NO, or the N2O, nitrogen dioxide, and from this nitrous oxide and nitrogen dioxide, we or the nature can get its nitrogen back. Okay, so this is the process by which the nitrogen is rapidly fixing in the nature and transformed from our organism to another, and then at last the nitrogen back to the nature. The nitrogen is the nature backs it nitrogen. Okay, this is the process, and when we put this whole process in a cycle, that is called a nitrogen cycle. So now I am trying to put this all issues in a cyclic form. Okay, just see this. It is a rough cycle. It is not the bookish diagrams. I made this diagram, and it is more simple than the books. Okay, so the bookish diagrams are very much complex, and this is a simple diagram. Just try to see this. This is the nitrogen of our nature. This is the nitrogen of our nature. The nitrogen is fixed by some bacteria in the form of ammonia. The nitrogen is fixed in the nature by the help of some bacteria or some algae and fixed in the soil in the form of ammonia. Okay, and now some complex organisms which have protein molecules. The protein molecules are degraded into this ammonia by the help of some bacteria, just like Bacillus mycoides or Bacillus rhamnosus. Okay, and the protein transformed into the ammonia. This ammonia now this ammonia now go into the nitrification cycle, and the nitrite ion is formed. Then also the nitrification is continuing, and nitrate ion is formed. The nitrate ion is transformed into the nitrogen by denitrification. So this is the nitrification process. Nitrification. This is the denitrification process, and this is the ammonification process. Ammonification. Okay, so in this way the nitrogen makes a cycle in our nature. Also there are some natural events just like this. Nitrogen and oxygen, with the help of the storms, the thunders with the help of the electrical sparks of nature, it forms the NO and forms the NO2 and forms the HNO2 plus HNO3, and this is also go to this way. This HNO2 and HNO3 makes the nitrate or nitrite ions in the soil when it is present in the soil by the help of rains. Okay, by the help of rains, the HNO2 and HNO3 present in the soil in the form of nitrite ion and nitrate ion. Okay, then the nitrate ion and nitrite ion denitrify and forms the nitrogen of our nature and gives back the nitrogen to nature. Okay, so this is a simple diagram. This is the simplest diagram, just simple diagram to know that how the nitrogen cycle works in our nature. Okay, hope this video is helpful for you. If you like this video, then don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.